Throughout many moments in the worlds of Kingdom Hearts 3, there was something about the charming and emotional scenes that left a much more effective impact than previous installments, in my opinion, and I think it's mainly due to Sora's interactions with new and old friends as they contribute to his development. After the events of Dream Drop Distance, Sora shows clear signs of sadness. Fitting for the character, it isn't because he's failed the mark of mastery, but because he's unable to aid his friends. We see later on in the Remind episode that he has no issues with losing his powers. It's the fact that he feels helpless and can't assist his friends in any way that is the issue, constantly being told to stay behind and focus on regaining his powers. It hurts Sora even more when Pete is practically bullying him, a start of the many reminders of what he can't do. So while his main goal initially was bringing back Aqua and Roxas, he sought to grow stronger, or level up, as a step towards that goal. And this is why visiting Olympus was the perfect start to this journey. Olympus Coliseum is a world that appears in nearly every single game in the franchise. Even when, in some entries, it is not an explorable location, it still has some presence, one way or another.
It doesn't matter what you wear.
Only what kind of heart it is that beats inside of you.
You know what? You're right, pals. When the bunch of us stick together, we can accomplish anything!
One could argue that it would be repetitive at this point, but this world was certainly provided a very unique presentation in the franchise by not only providing 3 new large areas to explore, but also acting as the prologue to Sora's development in Kingdom Hearts 3. Hercules is one of the strongest allies the trio ever met, and the Colosseum has continuously highlighted his godlike strength. But Kingdom Hearts 2 would show Sora how even the strongest of heroes are not immune to such low points, which makes his recovery all the more motivating for Sora, regaining not only his strength, but also his confidence. This is why Hercules was the perfect hero to ask for advice.
There's someone who lost his strength and found it again. A true hero to whom you ought to pay a visit.
Do you remember the last time we were together? You were feeling down and out. How'd you get your strength back? When you jumped in and saved Meg?
That's tough. All I know is that she was in trouble. Suddenly, I wanted to save her with all my heart, but it's not like I could tell you how.
It's here where Sora begins to learn how to get his powers back, to protect his friends with all his heart, a lesson that he reminds himself of later in the game.
I think I'm meant to figure it out for myself. I'll find my strength the way you found yours. Something to fight for, with all my heart. This'll take all my heart.
Even if Hercules didn't provide Sora a clear solution, it was the spark for what he'd do later on, that he would sacrifice himself with no hesitation. It's here where Sora also realizes that he can't simply be given an answer, but that he himself needs to figure that out. Hercules gave Sora the motivation and assurance that it wouldn't be for nothing.
Sora, don't let him bother you. He's just trying to get under your skin because he thinks he can. But we'll prove him wrong. We'll show him that our sacrifices haven't been for nothing.
When Sora's at his lowest point, he's given a reminder on what to do, which ultimately is just for him to be himself. After everything Sora's done to help his friends, they're there for him to make sure the world doesn't change who he is.
They can be saved. All Sora needs to do is be himself and follow wherever it is that his heart takes him. It is the best and the only way.
Hades was right. I'm just a washout.
Ah, come on, champ. I didn't train you to think like that.
Alone? I'm worthless. We've lost. It's over.
Sora, you don't believe that. I know you don't.
You have a gift, Sora, for connecting with others.
As he carries on with his journey, Sora continues to be tested by the organization. While they remind Sora of his lack of options due to Xehanort's ultimatum, they are also testing Sora's determination. Realizing that he needs to find the answer himself, Sora begins his own journey by simply following his instincts and letting his heart guide him. Unable to aid Riku and the King in their search for Aqua, Sora decides to seek another Guardian of Light. Almost immediately after arriving in Twilight Town, Sora begins to understand the pain of others by experiencing Roxas' emotions over his own. Sora shows how much he cares for those around him, but he also provides a hint of his worst fears, ones that he would have to eventually face later in the game.
When I lost Riku and Kairi, and later when I lost the Keyblade, and you guys had to go on without me like that? Having no one to turn to was the worst kind of hurt. But that just shows how much you mean to me.
From this moment, Sora's essentially passed the torch and continuing the journey that Data Sora previously experienced, the first step being the return of Roxas, and Sora uses the hurt as motivation to bring him back, rather than letting it tie him down. With the help of the Twilight Town gang, as well as Ienzo, Sora discovers that there is indeed a chance for Roxas to live his own life, thanks to the data of the other Twilight Town. Unfortunately, this glimmer of hope is undercut by Ansem and Xemnas.
Do you even realize what you are saying? The other Twilight Town is just Data.
A heart can live anywhere, even inside Data. There are hearts all around us.
Yet despite Sora's determination, Xemnas provides a reminder on how Roxas was born in the first place, taunting Sora if he would be willing to carry out that act again.
Still so blind. A nobody is what's left behind when one gives his heart to darkness. There is only one way to bring Roxas back, which is for you to give your heart up as well. Sora, have you finally decided to call upon the darkness?
Sora's idea on carrying the hurt is already being tested by Xehanort's incarnations. This affects Sora even further, considering he had failed the Mark of Mastery because of it.
The sadness of knowing you forgot someone who matters to you. Something like that'll gnaw at you forever. But you believe that somehow by carrying around that kind of hurt, you'll be able to retrieve the memories you lost. That's what you're thinking, right, Sora?
Right.
Well, you've lost your memories, and the only thing you found in return is hurt. And by deciding that hurt was the key to remembering, you gave up all hope of ever being free from it. The hurt owns you now, Sora. Don't you see that? It's a wound that will never mend. That hole in your heart will grow bigger until darkness finally claims it.
The darkness? Was this all just a big trick to pull me in?
Afraid so. And all it took was a handful of illusions. Your heart was just way too easy to break, Sora.
Sora's still determined in never using the darkness, as he believes that's not what he needs to do to help Roxas, but Xemnas' words have affected his confidence. However, Sora remembers what Hercules taught him, and this lesson helps to bring back his motivation.
Herc said... He said, with all my heart. Okay, then all my heart it is. I'm getting Roxas out.
He intends to bring Roxas back, without ever diving into the darkness. He knows there are other ways, and he's willing to carry the hurt until then, reminding him of his mission. After the trio introduce themselves to Woody and the rest of the toys, Sora discovers the situation they're in, believing the organization to be the cause of it. They've been separated from their many friends, including the person most important to them. In a short but heartfelt moment, Sora can tell how much Andy means to Woody and the gang, already displaying a similarity between the two.
It wasn't always this lonely. One day we woke up and we were the only toys left here. nobody's heard from Mom, Molly, or Andy. We keep waiting for Andy to come home.
You really care about him.
After discovering that Galaxy Toys could provide the team with a clue, Woody decides it's time to go out there and search. He's decided that he's no longer going to stand by and wait for a solution. He's going to find a way back to Andy.
Not so fast, cowboy. You seem pretty gung-ho about going. But shouldn't we stay here and wait for Andy?
Well, you've got a point, but we've tried waiting. Look, if we go with Sora, we might find a clue.
Woody further displays a sense of familiarity with Sora and his mission. Sora had discovered that he needs to find out how to regain his strength on his own, rather than to be given a simple answer. More the reason why he feels the need to help him find his way back home. One of Sora's most iconic lines is, of course,
"My friends are my power."
So in the toy box, young Xehanort tests the strength of these bonds. Would the hearts of toys and puppets be strong enough to protect each other? Sora's lesson from Hercules is also being tested here.
The heartless, the darkness, can only creep in when our hearts falter. Trust me, you'll be fine if you don't lose heart.
While Xehanort attempted to place mistrust among the toys, it only made Sora's determination even stronger, and further displayed what sets the two apart.
What? Your friends are your power? How very true. But if the light of friendship is a form of power, the darkness of being alone is a power even greater. Darkness is the heart's true nature.
And Aqua and Ventus, their lights shine too bright. It is only natural that they cast shadows on your heart.
Xehanort, you're so caught up in finding the shadows, you forgot about the light that cast them.
Woody's love for Andy and his determination to go back home with his friends is motivation for Sora to bring back the people who deserve a second chance, such as Aqua and Roxas. The two stand side by side, letting nothing stand in their way. However, even after saving Buzz, Sora still feels the need to apologize to the toys for not being able to take them back home, already witnessing the lasting effects of Xehanort's actions on innocent people. Fortunately, Woody and Buzz display the positive impact Sora's already left on them. The two relay what Sora has taught them, giving them hope.
What about Andy? You care about him so much.
And he's still right here with us.
Well, if we follow our hearts, we'll find them again.
In the Kingdom of Corona, Sora feels a form of familiarity with Rapunzel's escape from the tower. He reminisces of the day he was forced to leave his home, but also when he met two of his closest friends. He's once again reminded of himself and the situation he's been through, which helps to make these short moments with Rapunzel extremely wholesome. Sora helps to show her the wonders the world can have. Even if it could feel like such a big world, he helps her to focus on the good things, and to just have fun. But this world also gives Sora a glimpse of the darkness it can bring. It's here that we see how the loss of a friend can affect Sora. Even though it was temporary, this moment near the end of the world foreshadows Sora's emotions by giving an idea of a state of mind in a situation like this. However, he also learns of hope, again reminding him of what to do. That despite what the world brings, he can fight back. The love he has for other people can save them, and change fate.
Heal what has been hurt, change the fate's design. Save what has been lost, bring back what once was mine.
Unknowingly, Sora already does this back on Olympus, tying back to Hercules' advice. Fate had determined that a villain would be victorious many years prior, and yet Sora helped to change that fate. Monstropolis gives Sora an opportunity to express who he truly is again. An entire factory that gains energy from laughter? That kind of positivity was the perfect environment for Sora. so he finally gets a chance to be more of himself again. This is further emphasized by a few callbacks to the first game. In a way, he's going back to his roots. Even Boo's situation, while simple in concept, does provide a familiar setting, to return someone to their homeworld so that they would be safe. As the trio proceed through the factory, Sora learns more on how Monsters Inc. changed the way they gather energy, and shown how powerful positive emotions can be. The way Sora interacts with Boo is just so adorable, and honestly, I'd like to believe that he would love to work on the loft floor. He's shown the kindness and love from that childlike wonder, which is why Arendelle's thoughts on the use of negative emotions, while accompanied by the unversed, anger Sora, and he chooses to stand against that. This ideology also parallels greatly with Sully, and his desire to no longer scare a child, but to make them happy. Speaking of childlike wonder, the next world may have delved a little into that. Upon meeting Merlin in Twilight Town, Sora's shown Pooh's book, but the cover has changed again, this time with Sora completely gone from it. He later discovered that his connection with Pooh has weakened, which is something quite unique with Sora's case considering how much he values these bonds. I've seen people online discuss the idea that this is representing Sora growing up and moving on from more childish aspects, and I think I agree with that, at least to an extent. In previous worlds, Sora was tested on his connections by outside sources, but this time is different. There's nothing wrong that's happening in this world.
You're not in trouble? But I thought something odd must be going on.
This is especially noticeable when Sora's friendship with Pooh Bear was one of the strongest and most wholesome among any of the Disney worlds in the franchise. There's this moment that, to me at least, feels like Sora doesn't really want to stay. At least not for long.
Well, looks like your problem's solved. Guess I'll be on my way.
Solved? Oh, it's far from solved. We still need to harvest the fruit.
Won't you stay, Sora, for the sake of honey?
Okay.
To me, it sounds like Sora's hesitant to stay, which again is quite surprising considering his friendship with everyone in this world. So why is his connection suddenly weaker? While perhaps this is representing growing up, I also think this is another test for Sora's strength. But this time, it's not to stand against something, but to make himself stronger.
Pooh, we are together. There isn't a second that we're not. Except I can feel it. Our connection's weaker. Why is that?
It's here where Sora reminds both Pooh and himself that they would always be together, even if they can't see or hear from each other. This is what he told Pooh back in Kingdom Hearts 2. But what caused the issue here wasn't pages being torn or memories being lost. This time, it's from Sora himself. Pooh felt that loss, even with the idea of Sora being in his heart. So Sora needed to rebuild that connection and ensure it stays, even when he's not in the book. He refuses to let go of the past.
What matters is I'll be here from now on. No going away.
Thank you, Sora.
Even though the problem is solved, Sora's still concerned on what triggered it in the first place, which causes him to worry that it would happen again.
Something's happened to me that made me vanish from Pooh's heart. Merlin, I don't ever want to lose my friends.
But Merlin provides some words of wisdom, another reminder for Sora to be himself.
There's no need to fret, lad. Whatever's lost can be found again. There are always new paths between hearts for us to discover and traverse. But you already know that.
While Sora isn't given much time to interact with Arendelle's characters, the world still presents a particular obstacle for Sora to encounter. Upon arrival, the trio find Elsa running away, but Sora is able to notice a hint of sadness from her expression, and thus, Sora already wishes to help her. However, this is where Sora faces the issue this world presents, when those who could use some help push you away. It's when he later meets Anna that he learns of why one would keep themselves alone, and that is to keep the ones they care about safe. It's here where Sora also realizes how Riku, one of his best friends, has done this exact kind of protection, by keeping Sora away from him. It's something he has done many times in the past, and not just with Sora. In fact, he does this in Kingdom Hearts 3 by telling Sora to stay behind while he and Mickey search for Aqua. Here, Sora looks at this situation in a different light by understanding Elsa and Riku's perspective. This doesn't stop Sora from wanting to help, as he naturally does, but it does lead to him being more accepting of Riku's decision when they return to the mysterious tower after this world.
Sora, I know you're volunteering because you're worried. About me and Mickey. Yeah. Well, thanks. But the power of waking's important. You can come to the rescue once you've got that. Sound fair?
Yeah. Alright.
Regardless of when friends push you away, Sora sees that they shouldn't be ignored, and that they can still be saved, even if they say otherwise. He once again witnesses another sacrifice, but just like with another princess, he sees how the love from that act can be worth it, and that everyone can be together again, even the one who made that sacrifice. However, this moment is interrupted by the organization, and Sora's confidence is stripped away as Larxene informs them that they have finally gained their lost vessel. This now rushes Sora and the other Guardians to prepare themselves for the upcoming war. At least, as much as they could.
If they think that we have all 13 darknesses, then they will panic, and panic leads to a lack of preparation.
After both Marluxia and Larxene have informed Sora on the new 7 hearts, they have essentially placed a short time limit for the Guardians of Light. Sora worries even more for the innocent lives that will be targeted by Xehanort, now concerned that there isn't enough time. The last time Sora visited the Caribbean, a comparison was made between him and Captain Jack Sparrow. This similarity is followed up in Kingdom Hearts 3 as the trio arrive in Davy Jones's locker, discovering the nature of this location. After helping the pirate get his ship back, quite quickly, this world continues on a theme presented previously in Olympus and the Kingdom of Corona.
And we're here to wrest Jack from his fate.
Though Sora also learns on the potential price to pay for one to change their fate.
But if Jones learn that witty Jack cheat that fate, him gonna punish Jack even worse.
So Captain Jack Sparrow is already presenting an example for Sora to eventually follow later in the game, and perhaps even foreshadowing towards a certain future title. One particular aspect that I really enjoy with Sora in this world is his relationship with the Captain. The first game shows Sora's excitement to see the outside world, and at the time, considering his origins as an islander, the idea of sailing the seas was fitting for him, to reach that horizon. So it's fitting for the Caribbean to be one of his favorite worlds, as well as why he looks up to Captain Jack. This is the first time I felt a Disney character act as a sort of mentor to Sora, and I think the Captain also sees this. The way he stands for Sora against Jones, as well as him teaching Sora how to sail, is honestly heartwarming in my opinion. It's especially surprising for him to even allow anyone else to steer the Black Pearl, and I think it's because he sees a bit of himself in Sora. They both view the seas as an adventure. This is further emphasized by the trio's determination to join the fight along the pirates. Despite Calypso's illusion telling Sora to stay out of it, he refuses to stay behind, following from what he had experienced in Arendelle. Skipping ahead to the battle in the Maelstrom, I think it's fitting how this world further tests Sora's strength and his friends through darker themes, not only because of the tone of the film this world is adapting, but also due to it being a live-action production. For the first time in his life, Sora witnesses the loss of a friend at the hands of someone else. He has lost people close to him in certain circumstances, but this is the first time the person responsible is merely a few steps away, right after the act. And we see how this new experience greatly affects Sora as he lashes out towards Jones. This is personal to him, and we see how a similar situation brings out these emotions again later in the game. After Jones meets his end, Sora learns that there is a way to bring back Will, but it comes at a price. Now as a new captain of the Flying Dutchman, Will is forced to fulfill a role, which means he can't be with the one he loves.
The Flying Dutchman must have a captain. Just where Denaushi and Captain Turner must live in different worlds. One day ashore, 10 years at sea. It's a steep price.
Saddened by Will's predicament, Sora doesn't find one day to be enough for the two. This belief is further emphasized by the situation he's in, and the short amount of time Larxene gave him. But Captain Jack Sparrow gives Sora one final lesson, one that reminds Sora to be himself, and motivates him to keep pushing forward.
Well, there's always enough time for hearts to say what's true. Sora, you know better than anyone. It only takes a moment to connect with your mates. With your hearties.
There's always enough time. And I'm going to find them.
For the final Disney world in the game, San Fransokyo truly displays signs of growth for Sora. Throughout his journey thus far, Sora continued to learn from the people he met and the adventures they had together. This time, as the final step before helping to save a few Guardians of Light, Sora unintentionally takes the role of a teacher for Big Hero 6. When the team commences their training, every member on the field observes Sora's skills and learns from him. Much like what Tadashi had taught Hiro, Sora helps the team to look for a new angle. This scene truly displays how much stronger Sora has grown after visiting these worlds by showing him use multiple in-game abilities, including the only time he uses Keyblade transformations in a cutscene. I love how the members of the team are talking over each other in this call, because Sora has given them so many ideas. It's a small detail, but it adds to how much stronger Sora has grown ever since he lost his powers again. Even the use of a new arrangement of roads to a hero, while not exactly fitting for the world, does tie back to Olympus when Sora was concerned on how he'd regain his powers. Save for one more. Despite getting stronger, there's still something that's bothering Sora. As I previously mentioned, regaining his abilities wasn't his main goal, and that's still the case here. Now that he's gotten most of his powers back, along with new ones, all that's left on his mind is to bring back someone who deserves a life of their own. Someone who lives on in his heart. Only now, he's more confident. No matter what happens, he's with him. And just as he said in Twilight Town, he's ready to carry that hurt. Unfortunately, Sora discovers that Hiro and his team weren't the only people who learned from him. After young Xehanort's visit to the toy box, the organization's experiments on puppets evolved, from testing Sora's beliefs to using them against him.
What are you still doing here?
To see if we can recreate a heart from data.
What?
Sorry. Did we steal your idea?
Following upon gathering negative emotions in Monstropolis and mirroring Sora's decision in carrying the pain of those within him, Riku Replica conducts another experiment with the help of data. Unlike Sora, who intended to bring back Roxas without using darkness, the organization uses bug blocks, which were a manifestation of hurt encoded, and have them gather negative emotions as they terrorize San Fransokyo with the Heartless.
This pile of junk collected the data we needed. The terror of being attacked without warning. The despair of having no place to run. The longing for vengeance.
Just as he stood up against Arendelle, Sora focuses on positive emotions, believing that there's more to a heart than just pain. Just as he's witnessed in many worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3, Sora has seen what hope can bring. That seeing hearts is enough to make them real.
There are hearts all around us. You only have to see them for them to become real.
This is something that defines who Sora is, and he needs no reminder this time. He's back to who he was before he failed the Mark of Mastery, and much more.
There are hearts around us everywhere we look. And it does not take superhuman powers to see them. Surely we remember as children the way our hearts made everything seem so shiny and perfect. Sora has a heart like that, uncorrupted, willing to see the good before the bad. When he sees the heart in something, it then becomes real. When a connection seems broken, he may have the power to mend it.
However, Riku Replica once again uses Sora's words against him.
You're right.
Huh?
That's why I made sure our creation fought you. Now the data contains a complete heart.
A heart made from conflict? That can't be real!
What was it you said? I only have to see it for it to become real. So, let's see it.
Riku Replica is giving a taste of the several struggles that Sora would later face. Being forced to fight his own friends, treated like puppets, and filled with nothing but sadness and pain. Just as he carries the hurt, he needs to face it. Sora failed the Mark of Mastery by following and feeling the pain of his friends and sinking into the abyss. This time, however, Sora proves differently. Even if he has to battle the people he's connected to, he refuses to give up on them. Despite winning the battle, Sora never destroys Dark Baymax, and this world's conclusion shows that the lost can be saved. Whether it was because of the organization or the inhabitants of the worlds he had visited, Sora was tested in every level of the game thus far. By having his heart guide him on where to go, Sora was able to regain his abilities, but also strengthen his connections with others. He was able to regain his confidence, and, as I've mentioned, Sora was given assistance and advice that reminded him to be himself. This becomes all the more fitting when once he's informed of Riku and the King's predicament, his heart guides him back home. Upon discovering Ericus's Keyblade and materializing a door leading to the Realm of Darkness, Sora makes a surprising request for Donald and Goofy. For the first time in all the games, Sora asks the two to stay behind, while he faces a dangerous threat, potentially alone. Just as he experienced in Arendelle, Sora, in a way, mirrors Riku's actions of pushing his friends to protect them. But instead of simply leaving them behind and running away, Sora faces the two and reassures them that their friends would be safe, and entrusts them to carry on if he were to get lost, much like how the King attempted to do in Dream Drop Distance. Though, unlike with Mickey, the two are convinced to stay behind, rather than eventually catching up with him. It is here where Sora takes his first steps towards independence. Thanks to his adventures and regaining his powers, Sora is once again able to stand side by side with Riku, just as they did before the start of their exam. The two are able to save Mickey from the Demon Tower, leaving only Aqua left to fight. Trusting Riku to protect the King, Sora is ready to face against the Guardian of Light, alone, especially after already experiencing being forced to fight puppets. Just as he did in San Fransokyo, Sora refuses to destroy her, and instead chooses to save the Master. Despite all the ridicule Sora had to endure at the start of the game, he proves them all wrong, and is finally able to save his friends with his newfound strength. While his powers are what allowed him to win the battle, it was his heart that led him to finding his friends again, which leads us to the Land of Departure. This was the moment that Sora was attempting to reach ever since the beginning of the game, and he was only able to make it this far thanks to this entire journey. By strengthening the bonds between him and his friends, regaining his powers, and getting himself back to who he truly is, he's finally able to gain the power to bring back the hearts and existences of those connected to him. This is Sora finally showing the ability to allow others to return. Through his determination to not lose someone else again, he is finally able to call upon the power of waking with all his heart. The Guardians of Light have finally been gathered, and while Sora still worries for those who still haven't been given the second chance they deserve, he's regained his confidence. Yen-Sid instructs the Guardians to take a day of rest, and while it's not much, there's always enough time, as Sora was taught. He spends this day back at his own home, and finally makes a promise that has long been due. A promise in which he and the person most important to him would remain a part of each other's lives, no matter what. Unfortunately, the Keyblade graveyard shows that the organization is not done testing Sora. Time and again, Sora has shown the Seekers of Darkness how strong his connections have made him, and they have accepted that his friends are his power. So, Xehanort came to a simple solution: taking away that power. One by one, Sora is forced to witness every single Guardian meet their end. Sora spends so much time strengthening these connections that he never considered what to do when those he's bonded with are stripped away from him. Ever since he first visited Hollow Bastion, Sora always believed that his friends were his power. But was he ever theirs?
They're gone. Kairi, Donald, Goofy, the king. Gone forever. What do we do? Without them, all my strength came from them. They gave me all of it. Alone? I'm worthless. We've lost. It's over.
But just as he's lost all hope, he's given one final reminder. Just as a true hero had lost all his strength, a master tells him that this is not who he is. Riku takes what Sora had taught him and returns the favor.
Sora, I can't. Don't say another word. It's not over. It's just not.
Sora, you don't believe that. I know you don't.
Once Sora is informed of the nature of the final world, his immediate concern is going back to save his friends. Just as he learns throughout the worlds in this game, as well as Riku's reminder, Sora must figuratively, and now literally, regain his old self. And we see with his encounter with the Nameless Star, just how much it left an impact on him.
I thought it was all over for me, but a friend of mine looked me in the eye and said, "You don't believe that."
But we also see how overwhelmed Sora feels by having so many tasks to fulfill, now that he's all by himself.
You're strong because of the ties you have with other people. As if the Keyblade would choose a wimp like you.
He's fortunate, however, that someone he's only just met already returns the favor after giving her hope.
You must see to the tasks before you first.
The tasks before me? There's so many.
All the more reason for you to make an effort.
Yeah, you're right. I just wish I knew what to do.
Here you are on the brink, and yet you hold on to who you are. You possess a strong sense of purpose. And in that purpose, you will find direction.
Thank you. I'm really glad we met. You cheer me up.
Filled with determination, Sora's able to find Naminé in the final world, who serves as a reminder for one of many of Sora's tasks. Knowing how much pain she and Roxas have felt, he is set on bringing them back, even though he barely knows her. But what he does know is that he's supposed to thank her, and he believes she deserves that moment, not only directly from himself, but also when she's finally given her own life to live. But here is where Sora also learns of how he was able to retain his form here. And it's because of Kairi. Even though everyone was taken from him, even when all hope seemed lost, he sees how much he means to her. She's already keeping him safe, just as she promised the day prior. Sora has seen how Hope was able to bring back others throughout the worlds he had visited in this game, and now he's experiencing it firsthand, so he knows that he must do the same and bring back the rest of the Guardians of Light. Once again, following the advice of a certain hero, Sora knows he can and will bring back his friends, and he does not hesitate.
This'll take all my heart.
Sora's connections were tested and made even stronger, and it's thanks to them that he was finally able to regain the power of waking. And so, he refuses to let anything stand in his way, even if he's unsure if it would work. With his confidence restored, he's ready to not only rebuild connections, as he's already done before, but to also recreate the people who he had thought were lost forever. This event further displays how much Sora has grown as he prevents himself from falling into the abyss again.
Dream by dream. You nearly buried yourself in the dark of sleep, and now you're at it again.
Despite young Xehanort warning Sora for the price he would have to pay, Sora stands his ground. Unlike Xehanort, Sora refuses to rely on his loneliness. Even though he's more confident in himself, and knows for certain that his own heart is strong, he won't let go of the people that matter to him.
I may still have a lot to learn about love, but I know what it means to share my heart with others. There are hearts all around us, trying to connect. Your loneliness only made Woody and Buzz's connection stronger. That's the heart's true nature, to never ever let go. Wherever they are, Andy and the other toys haven't let go either. In every heart, there's hope.
Reuniting with Kairi, Sora's shown how much of a difference she was able to make by simply believing in him. Just like with other princesses, Sora realizes what hope can do, solidifying that he should never let go of the people he loves, as regardless of how strong he is by himself, his friends would always make him stronger.
I feel strong with you, Kairi.
Though his own individual strength has not gone unnoticed. Right before the clash of the 7 and 13, Donald and Goofy now see Sora much differently from the beginning of the game. They choose to stay behind, mirroring their recent separation at Destiny Islands. Although their reasoning is different. The two recognize Sora's strength, now trusting him to move on without them. After rescuing their king, as well as saving them from the Lich, they're proud to see how much Sora has grown on his own.
You are all bad by yourself, Sora.
Don't worry, we'll catch up with you in just a bit.
The many battles that would follow continue to display Sora's growth in both strength and character. Even before the Second Keyblade War begins, Sora already shows further contrasts with Xehanort, standing front and center, ready to protect his friends, while the Master stays far behind, sending out his pawns one by one to their destruction. In every area of the labyrinth, Sora moves forward, not with the intention to defeat the Seekers of Darkness, but to stand with the Guardians of Light. He's grown much stronger to be able to aid his friends, but he's also not planning on fighting anyone alone. Though there is one exception that could be followed up in future entries. Even the way he interacts with every member of the organization has altered from their respective endings in Kingdom Hearts 2. Rather than being driven by Roxas's anger towards them, Sora is now calmly speaking for himself and letting them talk in their final moments. For some, he's even able to teach them what he's learned, while also having them recognize Sora's resolve.
Do you see? A heart is just pain.
Pain is being human, Xemnas.
Really? It must take incredible strength.
This kind of strength is further exhibited through Sora's determination to help bring back 3 Guardians of Light in the middle of the war, 2 of which he was forced to clash with but refused to destroy. However, while Sora is finally successful in accomplishing what was originally his main goal, he's forced to experience a cruel twist of fate by losing the person most important to him. He fails to keep his promise to protect Kairi, an oath he swore to keep only the day prior. Lost in his own hurt this time, Sora's rage drives him to clash with Xehanort, which only gives him the prize he sought. The very thing that Sora was trying to prevent. With Kingdom Hearts finally unlocked, it seems all hope is lost once again.
We've still got one hope!
Thankfully this time, Sora is not by himself, as the rest of the Guardians reach the tower alongside him and form a plan to defeat Xehanort. However, Sora intervenes and convinces them to allow him to face Xehanort, while the rest of them keep Kingdom Hearts closed. Sora believes he's stronger and more independent than at the start of the game, but he still trusts his friends to deal with the bigger threat. He's not keeping them behind, but he's also confident to help end this conflict from another angle, even by himself. Except that's not what 2 of his companions have learned from him. Donald and Goofy are not letting Sora go alone this time, even if they know he's the most capable of the trio. But Sora doesn't see himself as anything superior, and instead believes that each of them is of equal importance, and that they're finishing this as 1 1/2.
3 half pints together again.
There is still one thing left before Sora departs. One last glimmer of hope to push Sora forward and believe. And we see how much it means to him.
Kairi will be alright. I can feel it.
Thank you.
In the final confrontation at Scala at Caelum, even Master Xehanort acknowledges how much Sora has grown, not just in this game, but from their very first encounter.
There is so very much to learn. You understand so little.
Oh yeah? Well, you'll see. I'm gonna get out and learn what's out there.
A meaningless effort. One who knows nothing can understand nothing.
You thought you could contain me here, knowing all that you do about connections?
But you also witness the differences between these two characters even further in both the final battle as well as the aftermath. Unlike Xehanort, Sora chose to bring back the people he had lost rather than relying completely on being alone. Sora displayed his growth in independence, but also shows that he wouldn't abandon his companions for it, and it's those people that helped him to win this battle. During Xehanort's final stand, both characters present their ideologies, which not only further solidifies the contrast between these two, but also acts as the culmination of what Sora has learned throughout this game. All the way back in the city of Thebes, Xigbar sets up Sora's conflict with Destiny, teasing him with how fate has trapped him to walk down a dark road.
You don't have any choice but to follow this sweet little trail of breadcrumbs. And at the end, you'll finally realize what Destiny has in store for you. In fact, your reward might be right around the corner.
But ironically enough, Xigbar also states what Sora would need to do in order to achieve his goals, which, as I've discussed previously, is to be himself.
Still, Sora, that doesn't mean you should change. Accept the power you're given. Find the hearts joined to yours.
This encounter introduces a common theme presented throughout the following Disney worlds. These adventures have shown Sora what hope can do, and people defying fate. They prove to him that destiny can be changed, and it's not something that one can have complete control over. He's witnessed people breaking curses, bringing back the dead, and proving prophecies wrong. They are not controlling destiny, but they've stood against it.
A real leader knows that destiny is beyond his control, and accepts that.
This moment truly shows how much Sora has grown while still being himself. Xehanort had mocked him for being an ordinary boy, but he now sees him differently, reminding him of an old friend. Sora was able to leave an impact on Master Xehanort, the main antagonist of this entire saga. He even congratulates Sora's victory and rewards him the item he had sought for his entire life. Despite having joined this adventure purely because of chance, the ordinary boy was still able to reach incredible feats while still holding on to who he is. Even though he's given the Keyblade, he still asks for his friends to aid him in locking Kingdom Hearts away. With the war finally reaching its end, there's still something on Sora's mind, and he's not going to wait any longer to solve it. He doesn't care for any consequences that he would have to face. All that's on his mind is bringing someone back. And not only does he know how to do it, but he's also confident in completing this mission. Even though his friends offer to accompany him, he's ready to do this alone. He knows restoring Kairi is possible, as he's witnessed this act numerous times in this game, as well as already using the power of waking before, even if it wasn't for its intended purpose. Mickey, as well as other characters afterwards, warn Sora of this misuse and the price he'd have to pay. But he knows that whatever the cost, he's ready to pay it, as he's seen that sacrifices aren't for nothing if they're for something to fight for. Regardless of warnings, the future no longer scares him. The Remind episode acts as a form of epilogue for Sora's development. Thanks to his strength and determination, Sora is able to use the bonds he had rebuilt as a road to Kairi's heart. Even though he's alone, he still gains the assistance of his friends by tracing his connections, leading to him finally reuniting with Kairi. Even though he spent most of this episode by himself, he still sticks to what he's always believed in.
My friends are my power!
With Kairi finally safe, Sora notices that his time is nearly up, but he's not worried. Regardless of his inevitable disappearance, there's always enough time for hearts to say what's true. And so, he spends his final moments with the person he promised to protect. Experiencing their own world tour, the two are able to enjoy the wonders of the worlds while still helping friends to reunite. Sora's journey in Kingdom Hearts 3 acted as a test of independence for the character, constantly faced with trials of strength, resolve, and most importantly, his heart. After everything he's learned, he can rest easy knowing that he's set things right, and that all of his friends have finally been given their new beginnings.
Your journey is all about helping people. Some that you've never met before, and some like Lee that you have. They're all counting on you. It won't be easy, but I hope you'll remain the happy and cheerful Sora I know. There's no heart your smile can't reach.
In fact, I would like to believe. Maybe he can set things right. A boy like him who touches so many hearts. He could open the right door and save all those people whose lives I managed to ruin. So many are still waiting for their new beginning, their birth by sleep.
A day will come when they must rise from their sleep. And then, the only one who can save them will be Sora.
They really need me. I have to go. I am who I am, because of them. They can take your world. They can take your heart. Cut you loose from all you know. But if it's your fate, then every step forward will always be a step closer to home. Three half pints together again. Herc said, he said, with all my heart. Okay, then all my heart it is. There's always enough time, and I'm going to find them. No, I know what to do. This'll take all my heart. There's a lot I don't understand, but I know that this is all I can do right now. It's not enough to wait for someone you care about. It's true that hearts are connected wherever you are. If it's impossible to be together, then all you can do is wait. But if it is possible to be together, then that's how it should be. My whole journey began the day I lost her. And every time I find her, she slips away again. I thought we'd finally be together, but she's out there, alone. Not for one more second. Thank you, Donald, Goofy. What matters is I'll be here from now on. I'm with you.